Yes, it is. Do you expect it to be busy at GM? Yes, it is.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
All right, our conversation continues with Haman Manyora, political analyst. Haman, so you say that you see this Gen Z, and you're calling it the Gen Z revolution, it's actually going to change things.
Correct.
How do you see that doing it?
You see, a revolution marks a departure, sometimes a radical departure from the past. This is going to be something like that. A departure, and usually it is the way we view the world. So the revolution is mainly in the mind. So those who are sending policemen to beat up our boys, break up the demonstrations, clobber the boys, tear gas them, and even kill them, they are wasting their time. Because you cannot get the soul of a revolution using a baton or a gun. No, you cannot get. The soul of the revolution is not physical. So you can kill people in the streets of Nairobi or wherever it is. But since you can't kill the idea itself, the soul of the revolution, it will soldier on. It happened in Bangladesh, I think, recently. They killed I don't know how many people. But finally, the prime minister had to call it a day and run away to, I don't know, India, wherever it is. It's very unfortunate, like C.T. Muga says. I think that's why C.T. was gay. What is it that makes people not see very obvious things? You know, it's so annoying. It's so annoying that we can't see very obvious things. Who didn't see this finance bill was going to run into trouble? I mean, you think some people can make you feel relative like you're a genius. Have you ever gotten to feel like that sometimes? First you get so annoyed, then you step back and say, oh, or maybe I'm the only one seeing this. But it's not true.
Maybe
You are
the
a
clever one.
It's not true.
No,
it is.
Can
it is
they?
just-
Do you
it's just
think
a-
they can see it?
they can?
Do you think they can see it, but they ignore it? Or do you think they actually could not see it? For example,
I think
that the
it's
finance bill
complex.
was wrong.
I think it is complex. One, power itself is very difficult. It destroys you. Muga, since he's a man of literature, he will tell you of the Greeks. There's something I can't remember where there is a person following the king, always to remind him by whispering to him, "You are not a god."
It is the Caesars.
Yeah.
Yes.
You are not a god. Oh, the Romans. Yes, the Romans. Yeah.
Yes, and it
Yeah.
was
Yes.
and it was a slave.
Yes.
Somebody who knew they had to do what they were told.
Yes. To remind you all the time.
Constantly.
Yes, and especially when you're coming into Rome after a triumphant victory, you've
Yeah, he
conquered,
had to be
conquered,
there with you.
and you are going into this, and the crowd is cheering.
Yes.
The person is right there telling you,
You're not a god.
You are not a god.
you are but a man.
You are but a man.
You are but a man. Yani,
That is hiyo ndio kazi
hiyo ndio
yake.
kazi yake, na najua anaweza kuuawa.
Anakuambia tu ujue mzee. Wewe ni binadamu, wewe si Mungu. So it also has a genesis in the Greek whatever mythologies. The idea is power can make you blind to what everybody sees, including children. But again, we live in very difficult times, CT and Eric. We are people out there to control the world, the so-called globalists. We have global institutions like the IMF and the World Bank with the idea of what the world ought to be. And they are making it very difficult for even a genuine third world leader to do their job. So sometimes we want to blame these people, but they are under spell, they are under capture, they are under direction. But my argument has always been, if we could get a few courageous leaders in Africa, now we have about 3 or 4. You know, those guys from Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, the others are where? Niger, Mali. If a few from the English-speaking Anglophone Africa, like another 3 or 4 or 5, went in that direction, these globalists will have a problem dealing with such a big number. And then the trend will start where we can stand on our own and say, go to hell. I can imagine a president telling the French ambassador, leave. 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 Just leave. pack and go. People thought that was crazy, but the guy had to leave. And when he thought it was a crazy president telling him, the crowd was outside to tell him, please leave. So we will get there. And I see this Gen Z as a beginning that will start to put Africa on the path where we will reclaim what is ours, what God gave us. It cannot be that God gives us so much and we sleep hungry almost every day. It cannot be. Nobody can defend that. Why would you defend that? Why would you defend that? It cannot be the case that we are given so much, and amidst so much and such a plenty, people are dying of hunger and of very treatable diseases.
You know, Haman, you bring in a very interesting point when you talk of the globalists. Now, every time someone mentions or goes in this direction and takes this discussion, one then is either labeled as a conspiracy theorist or as somebody who's just a wild thinker. But this generation of youthful leaders that we see in Western Africa, they are not the first wave of leaders who have sought to bring about change. There's a guy called Jerry Rawlings, the late.
Sankara around the same time.
Yes, around the same time. Jerry seems to have survived and died when he had more or less retired from politics, okay?
Yes.
But the history that we have in this country, whether you're going to talk about Patrice Lumumba, whether you're going to talk about Nkrumah, whether you just keep listing them.
Magufuli recently.
To my point, exactly.
Yes.
Somebody who takes a simple step and says, look, folks, to heshimiane, as we say in Kiswahili, this gold is our gold. You're not going to be shipping it out in this form.
Yes.
You are going to smelt it here. You're going to add value here. Yes. Then we talk and agree on how this thing moves forward. Seems fair.
Yes.
Suddenly the person isn't there. When you say there's need for courage and there's need to take that step, there are leaders within East Africa who actually took that step. An example is someone like Paul Kagame.
Yes.
He did something that very people have not done. It was called a Francophone country. He changed that
To English.
He said, no. These are the people who sat when our people are being massacred. There's nothing of that sort.
Correct.
So the changes, we've seen snippets of it, but change is like a relay. If there was a marathon relay, that would be it, where somebody starts and there are people who can pick this up and continue with it. Now, I'm going to say something that most people may not particularly favor, but that's why the Communist Party of China has a success story to tell, because they have succession plans. Yes. One may not like the way they run their business, but that, again, is you not liking it. But you cannot argue against the success that that party has made of their country. Much as you may try, you cannot.
It's true. But you see, there are two ways of changing this continent and these African countries. One is through the normal gradual processes of change. But where gradual and normal doesn't mean what we are doing ourselves. We are not doing it. We are not. So by gradual, I mean the sort of things you'll do so that in a couple of years, Africa has changed without
change.
disturbing things. So the second one is where you disrupt order through the normal violent revolution. But I would even go for the first one, where, say we want to start with our resources. What is so difficult with having a good policy on mining? Which any sensible person. The crooks who come to exploit us will not like those policies. But a serious businessman, a serious mining enterprise
will thrive.
Will come and you'll work with them. The crooks will not like. Okay? You go to tea. When I pass through Kericho, sometimes it is raining. Most of the time that place is raining.
In the afternoon, it seems to always rain.
But Africans, our Africans, sometimes I want to cry. They are there plucking tea in the rain. And just to think about it, the price of that tea, even as that mama is it is raining and what they are plucking the rainfall now, the price is being determined in London. Can you imagine? Hata ijatoka kwa shamba. Yeye anatoa, anachuna majani na bei yake inatengenezwa London. Why can't we even start there? Why can't we even just own these plantations, plantations? Why can't we own them? Why can't you process the tea and sell processed tea? Nobody will come and kill you because you are not trying to create an African currency and to unite Africa like Gaddafi. You could invite a lot of trouble. But just saying this tea is ours, you have had enough of this tea. In fact, the leases have expired for most of them. You heard that story. We will renew the leases, but under different arrangement. Why can't we even just start there? So that this tea benefits this country, coffee benefits this country.
What does that require?
The narrative that you are a cash crop country, that narrative, and you see how it's being celebrated by guys who sit at Treasury, the so-called economic advisors. These are, I call them houseboys these economists. How much from coffee? How much from tea? You listen to them and you want to slap them. What are they talking about? Why can't we process that coffee and sell it?
So, Herman, what does it require for us to get there? We require selfless leadership.
There are two ways. One is through a revolution, which means men and women who could not get to power through the so-called democratic processes, through the voting, get to the office by that kind of shake-up. So this one way.
But not just any men and women.
Of course, it has to be a man with a vision, as it has happened in those countries where dictators have taken over and changed societies. Cuba was a slave island. You may hate, Fidel Castro, but he turned a slave island into a country with the highest literacy rate in the world, with the best arrangement for healthcare in the world, and many other firsts, and many other countries. You may even hate it, but Russia, power.
Who are completely and 100% committed and dedicated
Correct.
to the country
nothing but
and the
changing
people.
society.
So how they get into power now is a second.
Second. So
But
the
it's a
second part is
revolution
when you see,
or-
even Russia, at the close of the First World War, they are fighting barefoot. They can hardly afford boots. And Russia has the harshest winter. Hardly 4 years later, they are superpower. You see what I'm saying? But the other way is the normal democratic processes. And that's why this Gen Z may lead to that. The power that is being generated by this Gen Z could result in a man or a woman in State House who is not from the ordinary men and women we are used to. It's not Raila. It's not Kalonzo. It's not Ruto.
Musalia.
It's not Musalia. It's not any of these guys. Somebody like Eric Latif. The guy say, Eric, we have listened to you. You have ideas. Go to State House and change this country. That could happen in 2027. So
Okay.
anybody who is underrating this Gen Z thing is joking.
Now, the thing is,
Yes.
again, we start with that person.
Yes, that
It is that man or woman
Yes.
who is completely dedicated to the
Yes.
country, who
A
just
person
wants
with
to
a
do
vision.
the best thing for this country.
Correct.
And the vision is long term.
Long term.
They're not coming here to
dreams
do
are long
a
term.
2-year, 3-year, 5-year thing.
Yes.
They don't want to be judged by the next election cycle.
No.
Theirs is a foundation, and somebody else comes and picks
A
up
man
that
who goes
foundation
to bed-
and continues.
A man who goes to bed when others are dreaming about their girlfriends and things like those and money, he's looking at Kenya 50 years from now. And he can see a Kenya that is better than Dubai. That guy who created Dubai, he had a dream. When he shared it with the people, they thought he was mad.
Yep.
Look at even small things like Morocco, in countries like Morocco. Some of the wonders you see. A guy comes up with an idea and everybody thinks he's joking.
Okay.
That is what we need in this country.
Those ones were lucky. It's guys who are in, the monarchy.
Yes.
And they were at least
Just lucky to be.
It was lucky that this person who
Yes.
is aligned to become the next leader
Yes.
is actually also thinking
Yes.
very well. Now, in the case of Kenya, how do we identify those people? Because now the Gen Z, like you're saying, the Gen Z are pushing.
Yes.
And as they push, then
Yes.
there is importance of the emergence and the identification
Of a person.
of the leaders, not just one, because then
A
the
couple
leader
of people, yeah.
the leaders who are really mean well for the country.
Correct. Them.
How do we identify
I'll
them?
tell you this. Like with any other revolution, many people will fall by the wayside. There will be, of course, look at people like Raila now, my friend. You see, has already fallen by the wayside. And others like him. After this one, these ones are obviously, everybody can see they have lost it. They are my friends. But I tell them they have lost it.
Imeenda.
They will never come back to the political scene of this country. But the miracles happen in politics. Then there will be others who will hang on. I want to call them pretenders. And more heat will be generated. They will be quiet to make tough decisions, tough choices. That again, you will see them disappear. Let me give you a good example. Kalonzo is left standing when Raila goes to Ruto. But you know there's pressure on him. When I saw him with Raila and the other day, I said, hey, hii pressure ni kama kameanza kuzaa matunda. So, will he withstand the pressure that will be put on him? Him and the rest, Eugene Wamalwa.
By who?
By the system.
By
Systems don't go down just like that.
By his friends in the system or by the citizens?
Systems go down fighting. So the system is fighting. They will fight. They will use their friends. They will use even foreigners. They'll say, wewe hata hutaenda America ukiendelea hivi. So that pressure will result in a number of these people. So this revolution will sort out the pretenders and the traitors and the people betraying the cause. As we move to 2027, it is quite possible that the men and women left standing can deliver this country. It's possible. But again, many of these things are bought. We've read about revolutions. They are hijacked. You saw Egypt after such a successful onslaught from the people. You remember that Tahrir Square? Was it Tahrir Square or whatever it was?
Tahrir Square.
But the whole thing was hijacked later on. Because sometimes these revolutions, like what we are saying, they have a problem with two things. One, structure. Two, leadership. So in the absence of the structure, it becomes difficult even to identify the leadership. So then demagogues take advantage and take over power. Or in the case of, for example, Bangladesh, those people who are protesting, they have not taken over power. It's the military. So those are the hazards.
But they are calling for the person whom they think or they feel should lead.
Eunice.
Yes.
Yes. That would be good. That'd be good. It sometimes it happens. I just hope
But
in
as
Kenya,
a caretaker, the challenge again comes, you have this person as a caretaker.
Yes.
So what happens
After him.
him? It's the same thing that we saw in Sudan.
Sudan, yeah, correct.
Revolution, get Bashir out, caretaker, then what happens?
Then the military says you are not even doing anything.
Yeah.
Or like in Sudan, military now starts fighting each other.
So it is difficult. That's why I say we should avoid the path of destruction, the violent revolution. We should just remain with what is peaceful change. And that's why I embrace the Gen Zs. They can lead us to peaceful change. Peaceful change. When the Gen Zs say Ruto must go, they don't mean Ruto must leave status. Certainly no. They are not that foolish. They mean let's change our bad ways, our bad manners. Let's put in place policies and measures to see this country realize its potential. Let's have a minister who during his 5-year stay at the ministry can help create 1 million jobs in that ministry. You see, that's what they're asking.
At least you and I, Herman, see it that way, right? Because I also believe that the Ruto must go hashtag and call is not necessarily for Ruto the person to leave State
Ruto
House.
the bad manners.
It's Rutoism.
The manners of the
And
politician.
Rutoism is not about Ruto. It's just
Not
about
the
this
person,
cabal of leaders at top
they are
level.
not that naive.
They've got to change. But there are those,
Who sees?
Herman, who their message is very clear. William Ruto must cease being the president.
He must physically leave.
They are, you see, they have their rights. They can say what they want. But democracy allows you to say anything, including crazy ones. You see, leaving, it is easy to say. But as we have said here, so what after leaving? So what after leaving? It is easier for us to leave the bad things. What is sad is that because we cannot leave our bad things, then somebody has to live physically. You see, it's very sad that instead of you just giving us a sensible cabinet, you are going to recycle people You are bringing people that represent the worst of this country, and you give them to us. Then you do another thing, then another thing. Then you are just telling us you are not capable of doing the right thing. You cannot change. You cannot leave bad things. Therefore, now Ruto, the man, must physically
go.
leave.
So that's where
Which is sad.
the risk is that.
Yes, that's
that
the risk.
It moves from being Ruto change
Yes.
the way we are governed.
Yes.
Ruto take charge and
Yes, just take
listen to us and do as the law requires.
Yes.
And then if that doesn't happen, then it goes into you, Ruto, then go.
You go. No, you are not even told. At the time
It's the
of
same
going,
thing that
you just
happened in
go.
Bangladesh.
At the time of going, you
in
just go.
Bangladesh, it started with, can we change?
Yes, can we change? Simple things.
Can we just change?
Policy on employment. Just simple that favors.
Prime Minister says, come on.
Come on.
Yeah.
Or you give token, like you said, token changes. You find like Ukora.
In fact, they're not even changes, they're just activities.
Yeah, small little things here and there. Sungura Mjanja.
You know, something came to mind when we're talking about all this, and this is from yesterday. You see, the question I ask is an endearing question in my mind. Okay, is it that when somebody ascends to political leadership, they then get conditioned? Because it's when someone is conditioned that they will keep repeating the same habit, even when it is clear that this habit is not, or unless something in the ecosystem. And in our case, when one knows that there will be no adverse consequences for the decisions they make and the actions they take, then it's like they are encouraged to continue making those decisions.
That's how impunity grows.
Yes, exactly. And that's why, as you say, you are asked to bring about change. Now, there may be qualities that the people whom the president decided to nominate, they may have qualities we do not know. That
How can they hide them that well?
that one I'm not even going to.
They must be too intelligent to be hiding those qualities.
Well, some good qualities stay hidden to the naked eye.
They only come out,
These are jokers.
under fire.
These are jokers.
You see, Herman, why I say that tongue in cheek is this, the manifestation of what we see is actually something that must be studied carefully. How it is, the rot sets in and then it solidifies. So it becomes what people in that particular class call normal. They've normalized it. That it is normal for a third world country like ours
To remain poor and dirty.
and to have people who consider themselves billionaires. They have no industries. They have no commercial activities you can speak of. They don't engage in any farming activities on a scale that can make you wealthy. And yet, that wealth is something that grows within a space of a year. I said, these, and this is what I was saying, these people seem to know something the rest of the country doesn't know. No,
They know. I will tell you what they know.
Yes.
They know we are foolish. They know we are just stupid people. You
They
can't
know
do
or
this.
they think.
They know we are just stupid. They can get away with
So it's
anything.
confirmed?
Yeah, I think.
It's confirmed we are stupid.
Pardon?
It's confirmed you're stupid.
I think we are stupid. By accepting, how do you even allow such a people? How do you even allow people like this to lead us? How? Look at what was going on in Parliament. Serious people just go and slap those people in Parliament. I'm not advocating for violence. But when the vetting was going, I just felt like getting one MP and another and banging their heads, bang! And then I take another. It is so sad, Latif, because we are laughing about something that is very serious. We are talking about the future of this country.
Yes.
And whether we shall have a country called Kenya or not. We are talking about the future of our children and grandchildren. What's going on in the Parliament, that circus, has a bearing on what Kenya is going to be in the next 100 years.
Very direct.
So it's not a laughing matter.
True.
And yet we are just there cheering them on and laughing.
But they know.
And going on Twitter.
They know that we are stupid.
They know we are stupid. Sad.
Sit here. Let's get into the news first, and then we will continue this conversation. Herman Manyora, political analyst, is here for this conversation today. What are we seeing in the country? In the next hour, we talk about the vetting of the cabinet nominees and what we expect to come out of Parliament. Good morning. It's 9 a.m.